Hi everyone, and welcome to another NGWA Industry Connected video. Today I'm with David Henrich, CWD/PI, CVCLD, President of Bergerson-Caswell Inc. in Maple Plain, Minnesota. David was President of NGWA in 2018 and currently serves on the association's North Central Regional Policy Committee. Welcome, David. Thank you for your time today.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too. You shared in the May issue of Waterville Journal how you purchased a used electric vehicle earlier this year once you saw the fuel prices rising, and additionally purchased a new one that you expect to receive this summer. How has the electric vehicle helped your company's bottom line thus far?
Well, I mean, the bottom line impacts are kind of, they're certainly not a major impact right off the bat. It's a more of a long-term investment. I mean, we produce 30% more electricity than we consume here at our facility. So we kind of have we have already made an investment in energy, and and adding an EV to our fleet just kind of made a lot of sense with all that available energy that we could put into something more beneficial. And so really it's going to save, I don't know, between $5,000 and $10,000 a year, probably in fuel costs at today's rates, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything you've learned about electric vehicles that our industry should be aware of if they're considering investing in an EV?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge with them is really range. I mean, they're not, I went from a F-150 that had nearly 500 miles of range to a Ram 1500, which had 400 miles of range, to now an EV that has realistically on a normal charge about 120 miles of range. So you really have to, I would say my friends in Texas probably are not going to do very well on one battery cycle, considering it's like 100 miles to anything down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Return trip will have to be on a horse.
And your company also has a solar roof. When was that installed, and what prompted it, and how has it paid off over the years? And is there anything you've learned about a solar roof that our industry should be aware of with that?
I mean, we've got a solar roof, we've got geothermal heat pumps, you have an EV. We've kind of been in the renewable sphere for a long time, and I think it's like anything else in renewables. If you're thinking about doing it and you have a conviction that you're probably going to do it, it's one of those things where you bite the bullet, do it now, because literally as you get down the road 3 or 4 years where you feel you're in a better position to do it, that's 3 or 4 years into your ROI that you already could have been. And today's price on renewables, the installations, everything, things are about as affordable as they're going to be. At least when we did ours, for certainly. I mean, there's no doubt that we are way below with what it would cost now to put in the size array we have on our rooftop now. So, it just kind of made sense at the time to do it. It was a direction we knew we wanted to go. We figure we're going to be in business for probably another decade or two after already being in business for nearly 75. So we think we can leverage that investment long term very well. And so last year we actually generated over 100 megawatt hours, and we only consumed, I think, 66 megawatt hours. So there was a fair amount of space between what our array was generating and what our building was consuming, which was one of those things where it's just staring at you right in the face. My gosh, you've got a fair amount of electric production that you could be doing something else with. Because frankly, the price that electric utilities buy these kilowatts back at, that's not the reason you invest in a solar array. They give you a pittance for everything that's outside of peak generation time, which is a very narrow window during the day. So it's, depending on who your electric utility is, it's not near as, you better have some internal reasons for doing it, not just sheerly economic. Honestly, we're in the process of converting our shop over to heat pumps. And when we do that, this building will be nearly net zero. The only thing that'll burn gas in this shop will be the pressure washer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So 1978 industrial building that'll be near net zero.
Very cool. And then out, with the rigs, Many companies try to control idle time to save fuel. How does your company go about trying to do that?
Well, we're small enough that we can manage it through policy. I mean, people are getting it, and realistically, these new diesel engines, they do not like to sit and idle. It really just drags the oil life down on them. The DEF system's kicking all the time. They smell horrible when that happens. So everyone's a lot more cognizant nowadays of just, if you're out of the truck, key off. The old sloppy big diesel engines, it was, they did not like to start and stop. It was, they really did like to stay running. But the newer engines are much smaller, start much easier, and so it's not near the start-stop issue. But we've also tried to go away from V8 diesels, more or less, just because how expensive they are to maintain and replace. So we've been moving a lot more towards big V8 gas, V10 gas, which those engines, obviously, a gas engine doesn't need idle time. So people just, you can turn them off, start them, stop them. They're not near as finicky as diesels are.
Right. Okay. And then switching gears, many companies, including yours, have continually raised prices to keep up with the rising cost of doing business these days. How do you think the industry is coping with needing to keep up with the rising prices?
Well, from what I've seen, everybody's been very cognizant of the issue and has been, I think, pretty responsible with it. I mean, we're all faced with the same problems with price increases, which are, double digit increases, throughout the year. Labor costs are going through the roof. I think everybody's real cognizant and keeping up with the times. And it's just, I'm sure like everybody else, it's almost starting to get exhausting trying to keep up with price escalation just to make sure that you're continuing to operate your business in a responsible way.
Mm-hmm. In your region back in 21 and thus far in 22, how's the market been, and any thoughts on the future of it moving forward?
Yeah, so absolutely. The market is definitely coming back very strong. We actually have geothermal work stacked up till August, commercial stuff, residential projects. And so there's a wide variety out there again, which has been very, very scarce for the last 6 or 7 years or so. So yeah, that market's coming back very strong. We've also been working with a company called Darcy Solutions to develop a new type of heat exchange technology, which has some serious urban applications, and that's been going very well, and that's led to an even greater uptick in interest in geothermal technology.
Very cool. Okay. And then the supply chain issues dating back last year and this year, and then the insufficient labor have forced companies to be even more flexible than normal to get the job done. How have you adapted yourself to the new normal, and any advice for those who manage employees or drilling crews for that matter?
Yeah, I think it's flexibility and selectivity. I mean, you got to be very selective about what you take on right now. I mean, the worst thing any business can do is overcommit itself, because you're going to miss out on opportunities. So you have to really go through and be a little more picky about what you're going to engage in. We're right now, in my opinion, we're booked out farther than I'd like to be, because opportunities arise and you're not going to be able to take advantage of them. So make sure that the opportunities you are taking advantage of are very well worth your while, and the kind of work you want to do and the kind of things you want to engage in.
And with the busyness that the workload that you guys you've got, how have you been keeping the morale positive, dating back to 21 and into 22, despite just the day-to-day challenges?
I chuckle because it's easy because everybody's already given up on everything, so there's no more morale to keep up. Everybody's been continually crushed by COVID and every other problem we've already faced. So it's just another day at the office, Mike. It is one of the true blessings of working in the industry we work in, is that we've got a lot of long-term employees, right? I mean, we have people we've been working with for a very long time. And so it's as much of a family setting as anything, where people just support one another, and we all have our good days and our bad days, but we're all trying to get as much done as we can. So that kind of camaraderie goes a long ways in making sure that everybody can make it from Monday through Friday and want to come back to work again on Monday.
And lastly, what have you gained serving on NGWA's North Central Regional Policy Committee? And who else could benefit from being on one of the 4 regional policy committees?
I really think that it's really an underutilized network. You really have a lot of information that you can learn from, and because we all face very similar challenges in this industry, and being able to network with other people. I mean, just the supply chain issues, and having a solid network, your ability to navigate supply chain issues gets easier. It's the same thing with these regional policy committees where people have concepts and ideas that you may not have experienced yet, that you may not have heard of yet. It'd be nice to see these. It's nice to see these problems coming before they show up on your doorstep. And these regional policy committees will give you, some insight on what people are seeing in their regions, how are they dealing with those issues, and things that you can help be a little more proactive on, because, getting into reactive mode with problems in our industry, you pretty much already lost it once you get to reactive mode.
Thank you for sharing, David, all your information here, and appreciate your time today. Thank you.
No problem, Mike. Glad to do it. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.